Pre-adapted means that we have characteristics which we have evolved in other circumstances but can be put to a new purpose. So the classic biologist example is dinosaur feathers, that dinosaurs develop feathers probably in order to regulate their body temperature. When some of them begin flapping and moving along, they turn out to make flight a lot easier. And there are things about the humans that make us really well suited to live in cities, that we eat almost anything. We're not fussy, we're not pandas. We can have high meat diets, we can have low meat diets, we can eat fish, we can eat lots of carbs, very little carbs. We can eat these from lots of different plant sources. Something else that we live in 3 dimensions. It's easy for us to move up. You can't imagine a city populated by wildebeest or antelope. They could never get up there, but because we're descended from monkeys, because we're apes, it's quite easy for us to live in very, very dense concentrations that are often multi-story high. We see in 3-dimensional. But the one really big thing that makes us good at this is that we have adapted over the years for being social animals, that we're the most social animals that exist in the mammalian kingdom. And it's that capacity to make friends and get on with enemies that means we can live close together without killing each other. And you have to be able to do that for a city. We're not the only animal that's pre-adaptive for city life. Rats are brilliantly pre-adaptive for city life as well, for many of the same reasons. They're happy in 3 dimensions, they eat anything, and they have a different kind of sociality. But what goes for us goes for them. We don't have to live in cities, it's not predetermined, but when the option comes up, we can take that option in a way that lots of other species couldn't. When people started building big cities in the 19th century, they often rebuilt them in the classical style, and they imagined that they were rebuilding Rome when they built Paris or London or Philadelphia with these amazing classical facades. And in some ways they're inspired by this, but if one were to go back to the real ancient cities, they seem minute beside them. They're really, really small. It takes sometimes 30 or 40 years to build a single large temple. Obviously they don't have concrete, they don't have reinforced steel, they don't have the mechanical things to do this, but crucially they don't have the right manpower. There's just so few people in the ancient world. And when we look at how the buildings in ancient Athens are built, they're mostly built at times when people aren't doing other stuff. So we can find their building when they're not farming or when they're not at war, which is only a few days every year, a couple of months every year, when they can get people together to build and to carry these stones from, hack them out of the mountain high meter, bring them all down, cut them into blocks, build them into temples. It's enormously time consuming. So it's a huge social project. So what they make is amazing, but by modern standards, it's really, really tiny. I think the contemporary themes are always around when you're thinking about big issues like urbanization. And the really big story, there are 2 big stories to tell. One is that there were no cities in the world 6,000 years ago, and now they're everywhere. And the other is that we're going through this fantastic period of increasing urbanization where probably by the end of this century, 3 out of every 4 people will live in not just a city, but a really, really big city. So the whole texture of human life has changed over 6,000 years now, particularly over the last 200. So those are always in the back of your mind when you're working on a topic like this. I think you have to do this comparatively in a way, because if you just write about the ancient Maya or the ancient Greeks or Egypt or the pharaohs, you don't really know what the significant things are that help shape it. You don't know what's unique to Egypt or unique to the Maya and what's part of this vaster human experience. And so I try in my book to try and capture both all the things that are different about all these cities, but also to show that they have a single story or a single kind of dynamic anyway.